In this tutorial, I want to show you tracks in Reaper. Tracks are these things right here. You can create a new one simply by going to the track menu, insert new track. You can delete a track by going to the same track menu, remove selected tracks. You can just double click over here to create a new track. You can go to the same track menu, hit duplicate tracks, and it duplicates the tracks. Just about everything you want to do to the track can be done from this track menu right here. So let's delete this extra one here. To change the order of tracks, just grab it and switch the order. One thing to understand about tracks in Reaper is that there's only one type of track. Could be audio, could be MIDI, could be video, could be virtual instrument track, could be mono, could be stereo. There's only one type, one size fits all. So once you learn one of them, you know them all. Now besides this track menu here, you can right click on the track and get to pretty much the same menu right here. So all the same things can be done here as they're done from right clicking the track. You can add colors by choosing set track color to custom color. We'll make it a little bit of a bluish color. Now any media items that are created in this track will be this color also, just like these are. You can name the track, just double click over here. We'll name it piano. You can even add a track icon. Just right click it, set track icon. And Reaper includes a whole bunch of icons, and you can make your own. Just choose piano. You get this little icon on the track. This way you can quickly, as you go into the tracks, see which one the piano is, visually instead of by looking at the text. And let's just remove that icon for now, just to get a little more room here. Next we have the fader on the track. This controls volume. Bring it down to make it quieter, bring it up to make it louder. Then you have the pan, left and right. Mute, turn it off. Solo, turn everything off except for that track. You also have a polarity button on each track, or a phase button. You can just flip it on and off right there. You don't need a separate plugin for that. Now the mouse wheel plays an important part in Reaper also. If you hover your mouse over the volume fader, you can use the mouse wheel to go up and down. So it becomes your fader. Same thing with the pan. Just hover it over it, then use the mouse wheel. You can double click the fader to go back to its default, which is 0. And you can double click the pan, goes back to its default, which is the center. And you can also use some modifying keys to control how this stuff behaves also. For instance, on the PC, if you hold down Alt, or on the Mac, you hold down Option, and you grab a fader, you can find a different spot for it. And when you let go, it goes back to where it started. It's a great way of auditioning it. Like if I play the track here with the loop, I could try bringing it down, then let go, pops back up to where it was before. It's great for auditioning different volume levels without committing to them. And pan works the same way. Hold down Alt or Option on the Mac, move it to try it out, and if you let go, it goes back to its original spot. And if for some reason you don't want it to snap back because you like the new fader level, simply take your hand off the Alt key or the Option key on Mac, and it won't snap back. It'll stay where you set it. You can also use modifying keys for your mutes and solos. For instance, if you have a bunch of tracks muted, let's mute this one, and this one, and you want to quickly unmute all the tracks in the session that are muted, hold down Control on the PC or Command on the Mac, and just click any mute button, and they all get unmuted. And it doesn't make a difference if you do one that's already muted. You can do any of them. Click this one down here, all the tracks get unmuted. And the same thing for solo. If you have this track, and this track soloed, just hit any solo button in the session with Control on the PC or Command on the Mac hit, and all the tracks become unsoloed quickly. And with mute, you can hold down Alt on the PC or Option on the Mac, and just select the mute button. It kind of does like a reverse mute, where every track you select gets unmuted and every other track in the session gets muted. It's kind of good for auditioning one track at a time. I'll show you. Let me play this here. Now all those options are available by right-clicking any of the solo or mute buttons also. So if I right-click the solo button, you see all the different options for solo. You can unsolo all, if you had a bunch of them soloed. Unsolo all, they all become unsoloed. And it's a quick way of soloing something that's not soloed also. So I can right click this, exclusively solo, only that track becomes soloed. Go to the next track, exclusive solo, only that track becomes soloed. Again, like we did before, solo this, exclusively solo this, exclusively solo this, and exclusively solo this. Then pop it back out. Another thing that's pretty cool is you can drag your solos and mutes. I can grab the mute button here, down to say mute here, all those tracks get muted. Same with solo. Now it only works with tracks next to each other. So I can grab from solo here to here, let go, all the tracks get soloed. Just a quick way of soloing something. If you want to solo a few tracks next to each other, just quickly go boom, boom, done. Now another way Reaper handles tracks is by doing temporary groups. For instance, if I select this track and hold down Shift to here, these 4 tracks are now all selected. Pop it back out, hold down Shift, these 4 tracks are now selected. Now you have a temporary group. So if I move a fader on any of these tracks, they all move together, as you can see. Same with the pan, same with mute, same with solo. As long as they're all selected, they're temporarily grouped. And they don't have to be next to each other. You can hold down Control on the PC or Command on the Mac, click one, click another, and those are all temporary grouped now. So I can move a fader, and those faders all move together, in proportion to each other, of course. Same with the pan, same with mute, and same with solo. And it's just temporary. Just click anywhere and it pops back out. But it's a quick way of doing group things without creating a group. We'll get into more advanced grouping later. Now, if you've made a temporary group, let's say this to here, move the fader, you see, they move together. But now you want to move this fader without all the faders moving. Rather than get rid of the group or unselecting them all, you can keep this selected and hold the Shift key down. Now this track behaves by itself. Same with this one and this one. Same with the pan. Same with muting. Shift mute it. And it behaves as if it's not part of the group. Same with solo. It's just a quick way of changing things without having to remove the group you just set up, which again is just a temporary group anyway. But you select from here to here, you have a group, hold down Shift instead, and it behaves as if it's not part of the group. Otherwise, muting it and soloing it makes it behave like a group. Now everything I've showed you here also works in the mix window. Here's our mix window. Everything works in here exactly the same. You could drag this mute button here over to here, they all mute. Hold down Control on the PC or Command on the Mac, they all unmute. You can select a few different tracks, and then we'll move together. They all pan together, they all solo together. Everything I just showed you in the track list also applies to the mix window. Which brings up another feature. Let's say this piano track, you didn't want it to show up here anymore. You want it to still be in the session, but you didn't want it to be in the tracks list anymore. You can right-click it, and right here you see Show Selected Tracks in Track List. If you turn that off, it disappears. But it's not deleted. It's still over here, so it's still in your session. It's still going to play. It's just not going to show up in this window anymore. And to put it back, just go back to your mix window, choose your piano, Show Selected Tracks in Track List, and now it's back. And you can do the same thing for your mixer window. Select the piano in the mix window, right-click it, turn off Show Selected Tracks in Mixer, and it's not in the mixer window anymore. But that automatically puts it back in the tracks list, because every track needs to be in at least one. It can be in both, but it can't be in neither. So now the piano's back here, and it's also over here. See, both are selected. Show Selected Tracks in Track List, Show Selected Tracks in Mixer. So it's a good way of organizing your session. Let's say for some reason you have a MIDI track set up over here, and the MIDI doesn't really need to control any volume. So it doesn't really need to be in the mixer. So you can just right-click it, take it out of the mixer, and now it's just in this window. It's not over here anymore. And vice versa. Let's say you have an effects return track. There's no reason it needs to be in this track list, because you're not going to have any media items on it anyway. So that track could just be in the mixer window, not in the tracks list. So it's just a great way of organizing your tracks. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you in this tutorial. It's just the basics of dealing with tracks. There's much more advanced things to come. So let's move on.